Have a great day, everyone. So, once again, I am Love Turban, and today's video I would like to share to you my knowledge about the K terms and concepts in managing and implementing standard based grammar teaching. The first is grammaring. Various authors have attempted to define the term grammaring differently. Grammaring is sometimes used to refer to the process by which language learners use grammar to create messages, through grammaticalizing or adding grammar to a sequence of words to create finer meaning distinctions. The linguist Diane Larsen Freeman proposed grammaring as an important process in second language acquisition. Grammaring emphasizes grammar as a dynamic process rather than a system of rules. According to the definition stated above, grammar is no longer conceived as a description of language or native speakers' competence. Thus, a paradigm shift arose about the teaching and learning of grammar. The purpose behind teaching grammar is no longer the transmission of knowledge. Rather, teaching grammar is now performed to enable students to use grammatical structures accurately, meaningfully, and appropriately. In this respect, Larsen Freeman further stated that grammar teaching is not so much knowledge transmission as it is skill development. Thus, different activities have started to focus on developing such as a skill. The practical activities that are used in grammaring fall into three categories as specified by Freeman's definition of the term. Given that language should be used accurately, meaningfully, and appropriately. Emphasis is laid upon form, meaning, and use. In general, the practical activities that are used in grammaring can be categorized into a form, meaning, and use. First, let us focus on form. A distinction is often made between language use and language form. In other words, there has been a continuous debate over whether to teach students the language or teach them about the language. For Larsen Freeman, both language form and language use are equally important. And the second, we will focus on meaning. Linking form with meaning can be carried out by the use of different activities. In fact, meaning should call for some sort of associative learning. This activity gives students the opportunity to associate the form with the meaning of a particular target structure. And last, we will focus on use. The right form with the right meaning should be selected for the right context to ensure successful communication. A practical way of going about sensitizing students to the effect of context on language is through making use of role playing. Role plays work well when dealing with use because the teacher can systematically manipulate social variables. To have students practice how changes in the social variables affect the choice of the form. The next is grammaticalizing. Grammaticalizing is a type of semantic change by which a lexical item or construction changes into one that serves a grammatical function, or a grammatical item develops a new grammatical function. Grammaticalization is sometimes conceived of as expansion, sometimes as reduction. Expansion models of grammaticalization observe that as a construction ages, it may increase its collocational range and aspects of its pragmatic or semantic function. Reduction models of grammaticalization tend to focus on form, and particularly on changes in formal dependency and phonetic attrition. Studies on grammaticalization have often focused on isolated linguistic forms. It has frequently been emphasized, however, that grammaticalization not only affects single words or morphemes, but often also larger structures or constructions. Grammaticalizing is to change a content word into a function word or grammatical effects. And next is error correction and feedback. Errors, mistakes which students cannot correct themselves and which need explanation. When responding to errors, teachers should be seen as providing feedback, helping students to reshape their knowledge rather than telling students off because they are wrong. Feedback. Though feedback can be very helpful during oral work, teachers should not deal with all oral production in the same way. Three techniques for correcting students' errors. First, self correction. Second, students to students correction. Third, teacher correction. Self correction. There is a need to use any or some of the following showing incorrectness techniques to help students recognize that there is something wrong. Student to student correction. If student is unable to correct herself, sometimes we might ask students to correct each other. Student to student correction works well in classes where there is a cooperative atmosphere. However, don't forget all about the first student who provides the wrong answer. You need to involve her in one way or another. Teacher correction. If both self correction and student to student correction don't work, there is a need to correct your student's error yourself. Remember that your students may well be more capable than you think. As teachers, we often feel a desire to rush in with the correct response before students have had enough time to process information in their mind. The next is spoken versus written grammar. In early times, there was no writing, and people exchanged information only by speaking. Through the historical stages of development, the writing system was shaped. Nowadays, writing is an indispensable means of communication for people in life as well as work. Oral language is typically associated by linguists with conversation that is produced, processed, and then evaluated in the context of face to face exchange and grounded in interpersonal relationships that are often clearly established. Oral language is adapted to a specific audience and to socio-cultural settings and communities that are presumably present, functioning in a context of here and now. Written language is typically associated with language books and explanatory prose such as is found in school. Written language is formal, academic, and planned. It hinges on the past and is reconstructed in such a way that is in the future it can be processed by varied readerships. Both spoken and written discourse are two indispensable facets of language in general, and of English in particular. Although there are considerable differences between speaking and writing in terms of grammar, they are always interdependent of each other. Furthermore, the English grammar taught at school should be a balance of both spoken and written language in order to provide learners comprehensive and clear understandings about the similarities as well as differences of spoken and written English. Next is the grammatical assessment. Assessing grammar. Assessment is another fundamental aspect of teaching. Assessment can help you determine a student's proficiency in a language. Using assessment can help to identify the strengths and weaknesses a learner has. Teachers also need to use constant assessment to determine how well students are comprehending the material that has been covered or how much information they picked up from a specific course. And lastly is the pedagogical issues. What is pedagogy? Pedagogy can be defined as the art of teaching. Pedagogy involves being able to convey knowledge and skills in ways that students can understand, remember, and apply. Pedagogical skills can generally be divided into classroom management skills and content related skills. And that is all for today. Thank you for watching.